Finally, for question number 5, what you need to do is calculate the growth rate in the presence of 1% per month inflation. So rather than having fixed expenses that do not change any month, we will have, let's say, 1% here. And I'm going to format this as a percentage. And I'm going to change my expenses so that they go up with inflation. And again, I'm going to F4 this because I'm going to use the same inflation value for all the cells. And you can see now I can drag my inflation figure and see how my fixed expenses are growing. The other thing I will have to do is, rather than use the variable expenses that are $200 per passenger, I'm going to have to insert a row here, and I can take $200 as the expense for January, but then the expense for February, it has to be again previous month times 1 plus the growth rate, F4. So you can see my fixed expenses, my variable expenses are also growing up. And then I will have to slightly change my variable expenses here so that I'm multiplying the number of passengers times the number, the current month's value for expenses. So I will drag this formula all the way to the end. So you see things are getting a little bit more complicated, but all I've done is increased every month the fixed expenses and increased every month the variable expenses per passenger, and then Excel will keep track of my expenses here. So I will have to find the growth rate if inflation is 1% per month, which is the growth that we've put in here, and I still have to keep 10% of expenses in end cash. So again, we're comparing these last two rows, and now I have to find a growth rate that will ensure that the end cash is greater than the 10% of increases. So that growth rate that you calculate will be the answer to your question number 5.